Okay. Here is the problem. Everybody ready? All right. What's step one? Who remembers step one?
Be considerate of the people who want to eat.
Get rid of all the fractions.
Okay, so we got to get rid of this number right here. So we're going to multiply everything by -2. So I'm going to multiply every single term by -2. Okay? So what that will do is clear the fractions.
Thank you.
And make this a 1, which is necessary if we're going to complete the square, right? Okay. Next step. I just did this. What's the next step? Yeah, move the 5 to the other side. We got to get that 5 over on the other side. Okay. All right. Now you are ready to actually do the completing the square.
Would it be wrong if you divided by -2 first?
Divide by -2.
Like that's with the y.
Okay, well no, because you got to complete the square first.
Okay.
You have to get that square completed. So now what? We're ready to add something to both sides. What shall we add? Well, we'll take half of 6, which is 3, and we'll square it. So we're going to add 9 to both sides. Now one more time, where'd that 9 come from? We took half of 6 and squared it. This will be your perfect square. That is x plus 3 squared. And that's x comes from here, plus comes from here, 3 comes from here. And that equals -2y plus 4, because I can combine those. Now what?
Subtract the 4.
Subtract the 4. -5 plus 9. And then last step, divide by -2. And when I divide by -2, I divide the parentheses by -2, but not what's in it, right? Not what's in it, just the parentheses. So I end up with y equal to -1/2 x plus 3 squared plus 2. You've never seen a parabola with the parentheses over a number. That's not the way we write it. So instead of dividing by 2, we'll make it times 1/2. And now we're ready to answer the question. What's the vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening? Where's your vertex? -3, -2. Remember, in this equation, you have shifted it left 3 and up 2. Perfect. Axis of symmetry, x equals -3. It always equals this number, right? And then which way is it open? Down. All right, now get out your worksheet, your Parabola Worksheet. This will be turned in with your homework whenever your homework's due. Get out your Parabola Worksheet, worksheet 2.1. When I handed out the note sheets, I gave you 2 worksheets. I said put these away in a safe place. It's called Worksheet Parab 2.1. All right, so let's go through and do a couple of these right now, okay? Have we done any yet?
No.
Nope. All right, good. Let's do some others. We have to crank out. This will be good practice for our quiz. Let's look at the first problem. on the worksheet. Directions are the same. We're doing exactly what we've been doing, okay? So, what do we do to get started? Move the 3 over. Now, do I have to worry about dividing by anything in this problem? No, because why? That number's already a 1. So I'm ready to go. So what do? I take half of 4, which is 2, squared is 4. So I'm going to add 4 to both sides. Now I did that so that this would be a perfect square, right? What square is it? X plus 2. And that equals on this side y plus 1. So this one only has one more step. Subtract the 1. So y equals x plus 2 squared minus 1. And now you're going to answer the question. That's not the answer. You need the vertex, axis of symmetry, direction of opening. So where's our vertex? -2, -1. Now, nobody's confused by that. You know that when you have something like this, it means you go left 2 and down 1. So that puts your vertex at -2, -1. That means the axis of symmetry is x equals -2. And you can look at the equation. There's a positive 1 there, so this thing opens up. Easy enough? All right, let's try number 2. Or B, I mean letter B. I hope you're keeping track of this because this is your homework. I mean, you can print some of this out. Here we go, number 2. First step, Geechee. First step, this is problem B.
Add 8 over.
Add 8 over. Mason, next step.
Complete square.
Yep, I'm going to complete the square, which means I'm going to add what? 9. And how did you get 9, Mason? You're exactly right, but how did you get it? Half of 6 is 3, and 3 squared is 9. Finn, that means this side is going to be a perfect square. What goes in there? Yep, x plus 3. The x comes from there, the plus comes from there, the 3 comes from there. Perfect. Over here I have y plus 17. Scott, what's my last step?
Subtract 17.
Subtract the 17. Boy, that sure didn't take us very long. Where is my vertex? Luke, vertex. -3, -17. Remember, this means I go left 3 and down 17, right? That means my axis of symmetry is x equals -3, and this one is going to open up. All right, you feel okay about that? Let's try C on your own. Consult with your partner if you need to. Do not freak out because there's a fraction in there, kids. Can you get rid of that fraction? Yeah, by multiplying by 2. So don't be afraid to just jump in and multiply everything by 2 to start with. That just takes care of that fraction, right? Mason, you okay back there?
Yeah.
Okay. Alright, see if you can remember what to do next. No, just look around. See if you can figure it out.
I lost my worksheet.
Oh, well, get the problem copied off somebody else. Or go look over there, and there might be another one, I don't know. Yeah, I don't care. But when they're gone, they're gone. You guys gotta take care of your stuff. They'd be in the bottom, all right. All right, Avery, what'd you do next? We times by 2 already. What did you do after that?
I didn't know what to do.
Uh-oh. Somebody help her out. She doesn't know what to do after we times by 2. Trey?
You add the 4 on both sides, right?
Well, before I do that, I gotta take care of this. So what do I do with him? Yes. And then, Trey, you are exactly right. You said you're gonna add 4 to both sides. Now, tell us how you got 4. You are on target. How did you get it?
Half 4.
This 4. Half of 4 is 2, and 2 squared is 4. Right? So this is a perfect square. Alex, what square is this? X what 2? X minus 2. That's going to be x minus 2. And that's going to equal 2y minus 10. Now, Jonathan, what happens next? Add the 10. And then Clayton, last step. Divide everything by 2. But when we divide the parentheses as a whole. Nothing in it. So what do we end up with? Y equal to 1/2 x minus 2 squared plus 5.
Yep.
Where is my vertex spring? 2, 5. Right 2 up 5. 2, 5. Which means my axis of symmetry is x equals 2, and my direction of opening is up. Okay? Now, if we have time at the end of the period, you can go ahead and finish that worksheet, but we have 2 more things we have to learn today. Okay? So that's review of what we started last time. That will be one of the questions on your quiz. Okay, next time we meet.
What if it's just like it's not like for the one right after it, it's like -3 times x squared. So you wouldn't like.
You don't have to complete the square. It's x minus 0 already. Yeah.
So you don't have to do a formula.
Nope.
You just do it like
Yep.
like
Yep.
the one on the quiz.
Yep. Yep. That's exactly right. Okay, let's go ahead. D is tricky, as Miss Kimmel has pointed out. So let's go ahead and do D together and talk about it. It's actually, it's so simple, it's tricky. This one is already ready to go. Remember, the purpose of doing all this work is so that you can look at the equation and tell me the vertex, right? Well, look at D. Can you tell me the vertex? Has it been shifted sideways at all? No, so it's still at 0. And then what does that plus 15 do? Raises it up. So I can look at the equation and tell my vertex is at 0, 15. There's nothing added to the x, so it's not going sideways, but it has been lifted up 15. What's your axis of symmetry then? X equals 0. And which way does it open? Down. Remember, The only reason you're going through all this is so you can tell me what the vertex is. If you can tell by looking at it, then you're done. You don't have to do anything else. Okay? All right, so you got 2 more of those. All right, now, keep this out.
So you have to do that for 4 hours.
There's no work for it. You can look at it and tell me what this stuff is.
Is it the same when there's like 2 x terms?
No, because then you're gonna have to complete the square. Right? Yeah, because
And would you
you
multiply by -2 then?
you divide by -2 to get started. You have to divide by -2 because you
And then
can't
do
have
you
that
add over,
coefficient
like
up
you don't
there.
add over anything, you just like.
Yeah, that's the only difference. You do everything the same, you just don't have anything to add over there. All right, get your note sheets out and take a look at the next section. 5, problem 5. And these directions are backwards of what we've been doing. I have been giving you the equation and you've been telling me the vertex. Now, I'm going to tell you the vertex and some random point on the curve, and you're going to give me the equation. All right? Now, I want to remind you, this is what the equation of a parabola looks like. I'm just making this equation up, but that's what the equation looks like, right? This one would be shifted 1 unit to the right. Nope. 1 unit to the left, and 4 units down. Now, could you go backwards and come up with that if you know the vertex? At least you could do part of it, couldn't you? Couldn't you tell me that the parentheses has what? X plus 2, and hanging on the end is a -3? Think backwards. Doesn't this mean your vertex is -2, -3? What's the only part of that equation then you don't know? Yeah, you don't know this guy out here in front. Well, this is Tito. They don't call me the Great White Hunter. All right, so the only thing I don't know is this coefficient. Now, I can call it A. I've been calling it N. So if you watch some of the other videos, I've been calling it N. But if you want to call it A, we can call it anything you want. That coefficient is missing. I can find that coefficient by using this other point. Now notice they gave you 2 things. They gave you the vertex, which you immediately put into your equation. And then they gave you this other random point. Here's your parabola. They gave you some random point. That is an X and a Y that has to fit in this equation. Okay? Luke?
Yeah.
You awake?
Yeah.
Okay, well keep your head up. Now, if I take that Y and put it here, and that X and put it here, with a little work, am I going to be able to figure out what that A is? Yeah, I can solve for that, so that's what I'm going to do. So I have 2 equal to, all right, 1 plus 2 is 3, but it's squared, so that's 9. So I have 9A minus 3. Notice I am not combining the 9 and the 3 because the 9 is hooked to the A. So now I'll add 3 to both sides and divide by 9. Now you get a fraction, but it doesn't matter. You're just going to come up and plug it in. So y equals 5/9 x plus 2 squared minus 3. And that's the answer to the question. Okay, let's try the next one. The vertex is at 0, 1, and it contains the point 7, 3. Now, which point do we start with? The vertex. We put our vertex in first, because we know what the equation's going to look like from the vertex. Y equals, I have a parentheses squared. What's going to go in that parentheses? X plus 0 or minus 0, right? It doesn't matter. Or if you'd rather just write x squared, that's fine. And then what about that? Plus 1. There you go. Does that equation have a vertex at 0, 1?
Yeah.
Yes. Now, what's missing? This. I don't know what that number is. Here it was 5 9s. I don't know what it is. So how am I going to find that number? I'm going to put 7 here and 3 here. Remember, that's x and y. So 3 equals, all right, what's 7 minus 0 squared? So I have 49a plus 1. Subtracting 1 and dividing. So when I write my answer, I can write it like this. Or, if I want, I can just write it like this. You don't have to put that 0 in the equation unless you want to. It feels safer sometimes to leave it in there. Now, why don't you give C a try? And I'll do it up here on the board and we'll see if we get the same answer. This will be a question on your quiz tomorrow, or whenever I see you again. I see a bunch of you done already. Pretty fast. Let's see if you got it right. Does that look okay for a first step? I need my vertex to be right 2, down 1. This one worked out to be an even number. Did you get -1?
Yeah.
So your equation was y equals -1, x minus 2 squared minus 1. Now, caution, just because I've graded so many papers over the years, you're not going to believe this, but the biggest mistake that's made, exactly, you forget the squared. Kids forget this over and over again. We forget that. Don't forget when you write the equation of a parabola, it has to be squared. That's what the parabolas are. They're the squaring function. Okay? we have one more thing to talk about, and then we can practice for the quiz and you can do some more of your worksheet. Speaking of worksheet, turn it over. What do these directions say? Find the vertex, direction of opening, and axis of symmetry. Stop right there. Have we ever done that?
Nope.
Did he really say no?
What?
Yes, we have found the vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening, right? Many times. However, this says using the axis of symmetry formula. Okay, now we've never done that. Yeah, we've never done that. So let me write down the first problem, and then I'm going to tell you what the formula is. Unless you remember it from years past. Does anybody happen to remember the formula?
Negative b over 2a.
That's exactly what it is, Ms. Peterworski. You are perfect on that. She said the axis of symmetry formula. You might want to write this down at the top of your page. The axis of symmetry formula is x equals negative b over 2a. You've seen that before. You're not alarmed by that. Negative b over 2a. Right?
Yeah.
Okay. Now, B and A, what are we talking about here? We're talking about B and A. What's that? Where's that coming from?
Play the equation.
In the equation, if you think about like doing the quadratic formula, you would say A equals 3, B equals negative 6, and C equals 1, wouldn't you? So in our case, we want negative B, our axis of symmetry, will be x equals, all right now, negative B will be 6, and 2a will also be 6, so your axis of symmetry is 1, straight from the formula. Now you still need the vertex and the direction of opening. Think about what you already know. You can find the vertex and axis, or vertex and direction of opening. What do you think? What do we know in the vertex? What do we know about the x-coordinate? It's 1. Doesn't the x-coordinate of the vertex always match the axis of symmetry? So now I know x is 1. How will I figure out the y? What? Plug 1 in. Go back to your equation and plug in 1. So when I plug in 1 for x, it's going to say y equals 3 times 1 minus 6 times 1 plus 1. So what does that equal? Negative 2. Yep, negative 2. So my vertex is at 1, negative 2. Which way does it open? Look right here. That one opens up. That was pretty easy. Let's try the next one, letter B.
Yeah.
We're going to find the vertex, axis of symmetry, and direction of opening. We're going to find all this using the formula. So, Clayton, you remember the formula? X equals negative b over 2a. That's exactly right. That gives me my axis of symmetry. So what are my A, B, and C in this problem?
280.
Negative 2, positive 8 and 0. So negative b would be negative 8. A is negative 2, so it looks like I have negative 8 over negative 4, which is 2. X equals 2. Jonathan, you still with me?
Yep.
Now what do I do to find my vertex?
What you
I know the x is going to be 2, so then I'll just take my 2 and plug it in. So I'll have, go back to the equation, I'll have negative 2 times 2 squared, which is 4, plus 8 times 2. I got 8, but I'll let you double check my arithmetic. And which way is this guy open? Down. All right, so here's what I'm going to do. There are still 4 more problems. I don't think we need to go through these together, but here's what I want you to do. I want you to find someone to work with so you can get up and move, or you can stay where you're at, I don't care. And I want you to do a couple more of these and a couple more on the other side, okay? And then I'm going to put a practice quiz on the board. So I'm going to give you a little bit of time, work together, do a couple of these, and then do a couple of the ones on the other side. There's only 2 left on the other side anyway. Okay? And then we'll do a practice quiz. Find somebody to work with. You can get up and move.